के साथ हम हाजिर हैं।
A warm good morning to all of you. It's a beautiful morning and we're back once again with Breakfast News, a show we get for you every day to make sure you keep yourself abreast with everything that's making it to the headlines right in the morning. We'll get you updates, national updates, international updates. Also, we'll keep you updated about the world of sports, business. We've also got a web review. So stay with us for the next 1 hour.
Absolutely. Thank you, Preeti. Good morning and welcome to... Thanks very much, Preeti. Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast News. So this is your day's first comprehensive news roundup, you know that. We have a lot packed today. We'll get you updates from the Parliament. Also, India's cooperation with its Southeast Asian neighbors, Mekong-Ganga cooperation, an important step forward in that direction. Also, Eid Mubarak, Eid festivities, we'll get you the glimpse, of course, amidst all the COVID protocols that are being followed across the country. All that and more. First, the top stories.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with floor leaders of all parties of both the houses of parliament, apprises them on the public health response to the pandemic, stresses upon the need to properly plan the vaccination drives at the district level.
India continues its fight against COVID-19. Vaccination coverage surpasses 41.52 crores. More than 31.79 lakh vaccine doses administered in the country yesterday.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is scheduled to co-chair the virtual 11th ministerial meeting of Mekong-Ganga cooperation with his Cambodian counterpart today. Meeting to be attended by foreign ministers of member nations of the initiative.
Air quality worsens with dozens of wildfires in the western United States and Canada, led by massive blaze in Oregon. Scientists attribute growing frequency and intensity of wildfires to prolonged drought and increasing bouts of excessive heat.
India beat Sri Lanka in the second ODI by 3 wickets. Victory earned through character and poise shown by the players throughout the match after the top order failed early during the chase. Deepak Chahar wins his first ODI man of the match.
And the festival of Eid-ul-Azha is being celebrated today. No mass congregations at Eidgahs or Grand Mosque in view of pandemic. President, Vice President greet fellow citizens on Eid festivities. Those are the top stories. Let's begin with the news in detail.
Yes, Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with floor leaders of all parties of both the houses of parliament to keep them informed of the trajectory of COVID-19 in India and the public health response to the pandemic. Prime Minister thanked all leaders for participating in the meeting and giving very practical inputs and suggestions, and added that inputs from different parts of the country help immensely in policy design. Prime Minister said that the pandemic should not be a matter of politics and is a matter of concern for entire humanity. He added that mankind hasn't seen such a pandemic in the last 100 years. Prime Minister also spoke about the efforts being made to ensure one oxygen plant in every district across the country. He informed the leaders about the rising speed of India's vaccination program and how the first 10 crore doses took around 85 days, while the last 10 crore doses have taken 24 days. He also informed the leaders that the daily closing stocks show an average of more than 1.5 crore vaccines at the end of the day throughout the country. Prime Minister stressed on the need to properly plan the vaccination drives at district level based on the advanced availability indicated by the central government to ensure no inconvenience is caused to the people. Prime Minister also spoke about the need to stay vigilant looking at the situation in various countries. He added that mutations make this disease very unpredictable and hence we all need to stay together and fight this disease.
And Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia on Tuesday replied to a discussion in Rajya Sabha on the COVID pandemic management and situation in the country. He said Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government is working with full responsibility in dealing with the challenges of COVID pandemic, and the aim is to save lives of people. He said government has already prepared a plan to deal with the possible third wave of the pandemic, taking experiences from the previous two waves. Several other members and opposition leaders too participated in the discussion in the upper house.
अधिष्ठानं तथा कर्ता करणां च पृथ्वीधम विविधायाश्च पृथकेष्ठा देव्यं चेवात्र पज्यचन.
Government resolve is evident from this shloka of Gita quoted by Health Minister at the end of the discussion on the COVID epidemic in Rajya Sabha on Tuesday. Replying to all the allegations of the opposition on the matter, Mandavia said that the guidance of Prime Minister Modi and the resolve of 130 crore people will save us from the third wave.
मोदी जी ने कहा है कि 130 करोड़ की जनता जब एक साथ में एक कदम आगे बढ़ेगी तो देश 130 कदम आगे बढ़ सकता है. और एक क्राइसिस की स्थिति में ऐसी ही स्थिति हमें अवसर देती है जिस स्थिति में हमें साथ में मिलकर चलना होता है. और इसलिए जब तीसरी वेव की बात आती है तब क्या 130 करोड़ की जनता, सभी सरकारें, देश के आम नागरिक साथ में मिलकर तय करें कि हम देश में तीसरी वेव नहीं आने दें. हमारा संकल्प, मोदी जी का मार्गदर्शन हमें तीसरी वेव से बचा सकता है. हमें संकल्प करना है.
The minister asserted that there is no shortage of vaccine in the country as 15 crore doses are being supplied by Serum and Biotech every month. He informed that vaccines from other companies will soon be available as formalities already completed. On the allegations of hiding the death figures from COVID, the health minister said the government doesn't conceal it but also compiles and publishes what the states are reporting to the union government.
छुपाने का कोई कारण ही नहीं है, बताना चाहिए. लेकिन आप किसके पर ब्लेम कर रहे हैं? जिन्होंने ब्लेम किया वो मोदी पर किया, भारत सरकार पे किया. रजिस्ट्रेशन कौन करता है? स्टेट करता है. आंकड़ा तय कौन करता है? स्टेट करता है. उसको ही रजिस्ट्रेशन करना होता है, उसको डालना होता है. यहां तो किसी ने मना नहीं किया है. मोदी जी ने तो कहा कि कोई बैकलॉग है तो भी डाल दीजिए.
On the government's efforts to protect children from COVID, the minister said that trials are underway. All the political parties took part in the discussion on the pandemic.
Enemy here is the virus, not the government, not the state chief ministers, not the system. It is the virus which is the enemy. We not only produced vaccines domestically to showcase that, we also were able to share our expertise, our abilities, our supplies with our immediate neighbors as part of one large family. We are importing also.
आप इस सब्जेक्ट को लाए और जो हमारी इच्छा थी, सारे सदन की इच्छा थी, सारे मेंबर्स की थी कि इस पे बात हो जाए, चर्चा हो जाए. चर्चा में जो भी आएगा उसका फायदा सरकार भी उठाएगी और लोगों को राहत मिलेगी. इसी दृष्टि से हम इस चर्चा को डिमांड कर रहे थे.
The debate not only allowed the government to clear the air on many issues, but also allowed opposition members to raise their views on the matter. With Parliament team, DD India.
India's COVID vaccination coverage has surpassed 41.52 crore. Cumulatively, 41 crore 52 lakh 25,632 beneficiaries have been inoculated so far. More than 31.79 lakh vaccine doses have been administered on Tuesday. 15 lakh 3,713 vaccine doses were administered as the first dose, and 1 lakh 36,257 vaccine doses were given as the second dose in the age group of 18 to 44 years on Tuesday. Cumulatively, 12 crore 92 lakh 52,381 persons in the age group of 18 to 44 years across 37 states and union territories have received their first dose, and a total of 52 lakh 11,066 people have received their second dose since the start of phase 3 of the vaccination drive. 3 states, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh, have administered more than 1 crore cumulative doses of COVID-19 vaccine in the age group of 18 to 44 years. Also, Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Chhattisgarh, Delhi, Haryana, Jharkhand, Kerala, Telangana, Himachal Pradesh, Odisha, Punjab, Uttarakhand and West Bengal have vaccinated more than 10 lakh beneficiaries of the age group of 18 to 44 years for the first dose of the vaccine.
And 2/3 of Indians have COVID antibodies, that says ICMR Sero survey. In findings of ICMR's 4th National COVID Sero survey shows that there is a ray of hope, but there is no room for complacency, and COVID appropriate behavior has to be followed. Addressing a press conference, a senior official said 2/3 or about over 67% of India's population aged above 6 years were found to have SARS-CoV-2 antibodies in the latest national Sero survey. A third of the population did not have SARS-CoV-2 antibodies. That means about 400 million people are still vulnerable to COVID-19 infection. According to the government, 85% of the surveyed healthcare workers had antibodies against SARS-CoV-2 and 1/10 of HCWs were still unvaccinated. The survey covered some 28,975 general population and over 7,200 healthcare workers.
Andhra Pradesh government has extended the night curfew in the state for another week, with restrictions being enforced from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And accordingly, all business establishments and offices can function normally from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. duly following the COVID protocol. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy conducted a review on COVID prevention and vaccination. He has suggested speeding up the work of pediatric super care hospitals to be built in Vijayawada, Visakhapatnam and Tirupati. Asked the police battalion should also be equipped with COVID care equipment and doctors, and also steps should be taken to make oxygen beds available up to the level of community hospitals. The Chief Minister also said that oxygen cylinders and concentrators, telemedicine services and internet facilities should be available in primary health centers, that is PHCs. Also, Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister directed that the night curfew should continue for another week as part of the COVID containment measures.
Indian Institute of Technology, Ropar, has developed a first-of-its-kind oxygen rationing device, AMLEX, that supplies the required volume of oxygen to the patient during inhalation and trips when the patient exhales CO2. Now, this process saves oxygen which otherwise unnecessarily gets wasted. So far, during exhalation, oxygen in the oxygen cylinder pipe is pushed out along with the exhaled CO2 by the user. This leads to significant wastage of large volume of oxygen in the long run. In addition to this, a large volume of oxygen escapes from the openings of the mask to the environment in the resting place between inhalation and exhalation. Due to continuous flow of life-saving gas in the mask, as we have seen the demand for medical oxygen jumping manyfold amid the second wave of COVID-19, the device would help in stopping the unwanted wastage of precious oxygen.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will today co-chair the 11th Mekong-Ganga Cooperation Ministerial Meeting with Cambodian Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Prak Sokhonn, virtually. The meeting will be attended by other foreign ministers from Mekong countries including Laos, Myanmar, Thailand and Vietnam. The foreign ministers will review the progress made on cooperative efforts since their 10th meeting in Bangkok in August 2019 and chart out its future direction with the aim of strengthening and expanding efforts against COVID-19. The ministers are also expected to exchange views on regional and international issues of common interest and concern. Meghna is joining us to get us more on that. Meghna, good morning. We tell our viewers that External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will co-chair the 11th Mekong-Ganga Cooperation Ministerial Meeting, and we've given a broad outline of the agenda. You spell out more details and also tell us how important is this as a forum when we talk of the cooperation between these countries, Mekong countries to be specific.
Yes, absolutely. MGC is basically a platform in which these countries have cooperation in different sectors. And if we, as you already spoke, that the 10th ministerial meeting had happened in 2019, and that was in August. And at that point of time, there was a MGC plan of action that was decided, and that was adopted in several sectors, be it education, be it culture, tourism, be it public health, traditional medicine, transport, communication, SMEs, MSMEs for that matter. Besides that, there were three new sectors which were introduced, which were water resources management, skill development, and also science and tech. And that was expected to be taken forward. And besides that, when we talk about India's specific role in the MGC, we see that India has been giving out scholarship to Mekong countries, and these scholarships have been extensively utilized by the countries and their students in specific areas, be it engineering, culture, cooperation, tourism, and such areas for that matter. Besides that, a very important thing that has to be pointed out is the connectivity between these countries, and especially if we see in today's meeting, there's definitely going to be a expected discussion on the India-Myanmar Thailand trilateral highway, and obviously its extension beyond that as well. So this can be expected in terms of connectivity. Besides that, obviously COVID-19 cooperation is something that these countries must have on their agenda, because the cooperation means a lot. India had already in 2020 also, we had seen Prime Minister Narendra Modi announcing help to ASEAN countries. So that obviously counts a lot, because when we have we are providing vaccines to other countries as well, and also providing medical aid to other countries. So Mekong countries, for this conversation with Mekong countries also would matter a lot. Besides this, we can expect today that the website of the MGC can also, start, because in 2019 there was also, in a joint statement, it was said that India will be developing the website for the Mekong countries, so that the branding can be done, and the activities and joint ventures that are being taken up for that can be shown on the website, and the progress on that can be on the website. So we have these specific areas in which there can be talks between the countries, and definitely this is something to look out for when we are specifically in the times of the pandemic, and we're looking forward to cooperation.
Right. Also, Meghna, good morning. In view of strengthening India's Act East policy, there are a number of different platforms and cooperation ties that we have with our neighbors, with ASEAN and other platforms. How does Mekong Ganga, we know it's at the heart of it, it's sort of the cultural connectedness with these nations that is highlighted. How does Mekong Ganga stand out as compared to other cooperation, other platforms that we have with our South Asian neighbors?
Yes, absolutely, Shubhendu. Very importantly, when we have this Look East, Act East policy, we actually have to, this becomes very important. Your question comes very relevant on the perspective that we have several points of cooperation with Mekong countries, and specifically very, very attached cultural ties. Because we have seen, when we talk about cultural heritage conservation, when we talk about Buddhism, we talk about other things in the cultural or tourism sector, there have been several talks in the ministerial meetings earlier as well, in which these countries and their points of cooperation had been discussed earlier. But specifically, these are countries where connectivity can definitely matter, and India has already set up, there has been some quick action plans which had been implemented by India earlier as well, and quick impact plans, as the QIP as we call it. And besides that, also India has set up many center of excellences in software development, IT technology, and all of that in some countries. So that definitely builds up more cooperation between the countries. India has also been helping out Mekong countries in their human resource management, skill development, and
right.
In those sectors as well. So this definitely comes in very important when we actually, and also when we talk about the 10th ministerial meeting that had happened, tourism cooperation was one thing that was laid extensive emphasis upon. And when the tourism sector is struck so hard during the pandemic, this conversation with Mekong countries, this cooperation MGC will definitely pave some way to help the tourism sector survive, and some action plan on tourism sector can also be seen. Culture cooperation can also be expected, so that these Mekong countries, the kind of close bond they have in terms of heritage, culture, tourism, and that kind of cooperation can definitely be put to the forefront, which we do not have as much as stronger with some other countries.
All right, Meghna, we leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining in. We'll come back to you again during the day when the meeting takes place.
Absolutely. Let's take it forward now. Let's talk about some weather updates. India Met Department has issued a red alert for 5 Maharashtra districts, including Raigad and Pune, forecasting extremely heavy rainfall at isolated places for the next couple of days. It also issued an orange alert for Mumbai for the next 3 days, indicating possibility of heavy to very heavy rains. IMD's Mumbai Centre forecasts a very likely probability of extremely heavy rains at isolated places in 5 districts: Pune, Raigad, Ratnagiri, Kolhapur and Satara. The red alert in these districts was issued for today and tomorrow. IMD's orange alert for Mumbai for the next 3 days says that heavy to very heavy rains of 115 mm to 204 mm is likely at few places in the metropolis. Marathwada and Vidarbha regions of the state are likely to receive light to moderate showers till Friday. And our colleague Shyama Mishra joins us from Mumbai with more updates. Shyama, good morning. Past days and weeks have been quite difficult for Mumbai and Maharashtra, given the rains and the resulting devastation. Given that orange and red alert have been given for several districts of Maharashtra, what is the preparation at place?
Yes, Shubhendu, you rightly mentioned now when it rains in Mumbai, when it rains heavily in Mumbai, we really get disappointed because we've seen all the mess that the rains have created in the past few days. Apart from the incident that has been, taken several lives in Mumbai itself. So, as you rightly mentioned, there have been 5 districts which have been given a red alert, which is Pune, Kolhapur, Satara, and the areas of Konkan, which is Raigad and Ratnagiri. These 2 areas of Konkan and the 3 areas Pune, Kolhapur, Satara would be receiving heavy to very heavy rainfall and intense rainfall in some isolated places. And this red alert has been issued for both 21st and 22nd. And we've already seen that, because of this low pressure that was built, many parts of Maharashtra, including Mumbai, Thane, Navi Mumbai, Palghar, these areas have been receiving incessant rainfalls. And past few days, we were also seeing that the Met Department had been upgrading this orange alert to more and more days. So now we are seeing that the 5-day alert has been issued until 23rd. After 23rd, we can see that the Mumbai, in Navi Mumbai, Thane, Palghar area are getting demoted, and they are coming to the yellow alert. That means we can be watchful, but there won't be any high intensity rain activity. But apart from that, as you've already mentioned and you've asked about how the preparations are, we already know that the Chief Minister has taken meeting with all the administration who are related to the search and rescue operations or who are watchful of their districts. They have to be on alert, and they have to be taking care of avoiding any untoward incidents. So all these places, which is the hilly areas of Ratnagiri, Raigad, these places have been told to be on high alert, also including Pune, Satara, Kolhapur, because any untoward incident should be avoided over here. So SDRF team, NDRF team, also the district administration, help search and rescue teams have all been on high alert. Apart from that, there is a good news, that is the lakes which supply water to Mumbai, among those lakes, 3 lakes, the Tulsi Vihar, were already overflowing, and now we are learning that Bhatsa and Tansa are also coming close to overflowing. Tansa currently is at the place, we could say, which can overflow anytime, and because of which the villages which is there on the banks of these rivers, banks of these lakes, have been put on alert, which is Vada, Shahpur, Bhivandi, Virar. These villages and the villagers have been told to be on alert, and if a need arises, they would be shifted from those particular areas, because the water levels could rise, and it could create some of the incidents that we have been seeing in the past few days. So the district administration or the administration, they don't want to take a risk. That is why everything is on alert, and if need be, people would be shifted from those banks.
All right, so extensive preparations put in place. Thank you so much, Shama, for joining us this morning on the weather conditions and the situation there in Maharashtra. Let's get you more news now. An earthquake of magnitude 5.3 on the Richter scale hit Bikaner in Rajasthan early this morning. The earthquake occurred at around 5:24 a.m. Initial reports said that there was no damage to life and property. Meanwhile, Meghalaya's West Garo Hills also were hit by an earthquake of magnitude 4.1 on the Richter scale at 2:10 a.m. today. Another earthquake of magnitude 3.6 struck at 4:57 a.m. at Ladakh, 19 kilometers of Leh.
And Eid ul-Azha or Bakrid is being celebrated across the country today. In most of the places, there will be no mass congregations at Eidgahs and Grand Mosques. In view of the pandemic, several religious leaders, scholars have all appealed to people to celebrate the festival in accordance with the guidelines issued by the government.
وعملا متقبلا ورزقا حلالا طيبا الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
President Ramnath Kovind has greeted fellow citizens on the occasion of Eid ul-Azha. In a tweet, the president said, and I quote him, Eid ul-Zuha is the festival to express regard for the spirit of love and sacrifice and to work together for unity and fraternity in an inclusive society. Let us resolve to follow COVID-19 guidelines and work for happiness for all. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has also greeted the nation on the occasion. In a message, he said, and I quote him, I extend my warm greetings and good wishes to the people of our country on the occasion of Eid ul-Zuha. Eid ul-Zuha, the festival of sacrifice, exemplifies the ultimate devotion to God. In our country, festivals are occasions for families and communities to come together and celebrate. But due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, we will have to remain content with modest celebrations this year. I appeal to everyone to celebrate Eid by taking utmost precautions and adhering to COVID safety norms. May this Eid ul-Zuha bring peace, harmony and happiness in our lives.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also shared his greetings on the occasion of Eid. In his message, he says, Eid Mubarak, best wishes of Eid ul-Azha. May this day further the spirit of collective empathy, harmony, inclusivity in service of greater good.
Yes, so greetings coming in there from the Prime Minister as well. Our correspondent Ajay Joy is joining us to get us more on the celebrations. Ajay, good morning. Let us know how has the day begun there. Though we tell our viewers that modest celebrations are required on part of the people to ensure they stick to the COVID appropriate behavior and COVID protocol. You spell out more. Ajay, are we audible?
Yes.
Ajay, good morning. Yes, tell us.
What you said is correct, and in Kerala, especially.
Yes, please continue.
Especially during this Bakrid, the relaxations have become quite controversial, has come down for a great criticism from the Supreme Court as well. But today, on the day of Bakrid, there are no relaxation per se and everything is back to the old lockdown norms, except for one thing, that on special days all worshipping places can have 40 attendants, 40 people inside the worshipping places on special occasions alone. So that's how the Bakrid is being celebrated here in Palayam Masjid, Thiruvananthapuram, which is the most important masjid in capital city. Only 40 people were worshipping inside the masjid. There are no public Eidgahs. Adjacent to me there is a huge stadium which used to conduct large gatherings, large Eidgahs on previous years. But it's all empty right now. People are sticking to the protocols. People are heeding to the advice of the imams who have been airing the words of caution that should be followed during this celebration. People instead are being exhorted to have their celebrations by caring for others, by sharing the difficulty of their brethren during this COVID lockdown, and that's how the spirit of Bakrid is still being kept. The spirit of sacrifice is kept in taking the needs, in caring for the needs of our own brothers.
Right there, Ajay. Thanks very much for getting us those updates on Eid celebrations. Of course, celebrations taking place amid all precautions related to COVID-appropriate behavior across the country.
Added to that, just a while back we told you the Prime Minister has also greeted the nation on the occasion, and he says Eid Mubarak, best wishes on Eid ul-Adha. May this day further the spirit of collective empathy, harmony and also inclusivity in the service of the greater good. Under Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, over 11.29 crore loans amounting to 6.41 lakh crore rupees have been disbursed across the country during financial year 2019-20 and also financial year 2020-21. Now, this was stated by Minister of State for Finance, Dr. Bhagwat Kisan Rao Kharad, in a written reply to a question in Rajya Sabha. The minister also stated that over 30 crore loans amounting to 15.97 lakh crore rupees have been sanctioned under the Yojana since its inception in April 2015. At an overall level, Shishu category of the loan has about 66% of share among additional employment generated by establishments owned by Mudra beneficiaries, followed by Kishore, that is for 19%, and Tarun, that is 15% categories respectively.
Let's now take a look at some international stories as they're making headlines across the globe. The air quality has worsened with dozens of wildfires in the western United States and Canada, led by massive blaze in Oregon. Scientists attribute growing frequency and intensity of wildfires to prolonged drought and increasing bouts of excessive heat. In the U.S. state of Oregon, nation's largest active wildfire has burnt through more than 3 lakh acres of land, prompting thousands of evacuations. Over 2,000 firefighters are tackling the so-called bootleg fire, one of the largest blazes in Oregon's history. Wildfires have already torn through more than 1.2 million acres of the country this year, mainly in the western states, according to the National Intra-Agency Fire Center. More than 4,000 blazes have been recorded by the organization so far in this year, 2021, which is almost double the last year's total.
Up next, an update from Haiti. Ariel Henry has been formally appointed as Prime Minister on Tuesday. Henry assumed the role of de facto leader of the Western Hemisphere's poorest nation in a ceremony in the capital, Port-au-Prince, where he began his inaugural speech with a minute of silence for the slain president. Henry called for continued international support for the government. The new Prime Minister also stressed on the government's need to restore order and security, as well as work to strengthen an economy wrecked by crime and the pandemic. Henry's appointment was intended to facilitate elections. Polls have not been held in Haiti since 2016, but are currently set for September. The ceremony on Tuesday took place as official memorial services began for Jovenel Moise, who was killed on July 7th at his private residence in Port-au-Prince. The leader's own security chief, some Haitian police officers and a couple of Haitian Americans have been taken into custody on suspicion of involvement in the conspiracy to murder the president.
And Malian security forces apprehended at least 2 men at Bamako's Grand Mosque on Tuesday after presidency said at least one attempted to stab the interim president Assimi Goïta. While a group of soldiers encircled Goïta for his protection, another security detail apprehended the 2 men, pinning them to the ground before leading them outside of the mosque. Mali was thrown into political turmoil after military junta led by Goïta toppled President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta in August of 2020. Goïta served as vice president to transitional leader Ba Nadao until his ouster in May.
Longtime Trump confidant Thomas Barak has been arrested in Los Angeles and charged with acting as a foreign agent of the UAE. Thomas Barak, a private equity investor, was arrested with 2 other people on charges related to illegally lobbying his close friend, former President Donald Trump, for the United Arab Emirates while Trump was running for and also serving as the president. Barak was ordered and detained in Los Angeles pending a bail hearing next Monday. The chairman of Trump's 2017 inaugural celebration, Barak is the founder of large private equity firm Colony Capital.
Peru's president-elect Pedro Castillo has said he was calling technicians and committed people from different political groups for his first cabinet. Castillo has called for a ceasefire with his defeated rival Keiko Fujimori after a divisive election race and hinted his ministers will come from diverse political backgrounds. Castillo won a long, intense presidential election battle. He was proclaimed the winner of the June 6th runoff on July 19th. After 6 weeks of wrangling over a knife-edge result, he beat the right-wing rival Fujimori by just 44,000 votes. Castillo is expected to take office on July 28th.
U.S. climate envoy John Kerry told the world on Tuesday that it could not wait for COVID-19 pandemic to end before dealing with climate change. Speaking at Royal Botanic Gardens in southwest London, Kerry said the suffering from the virus would be magnified if nations did not tackle global warming. The former U.S. Vice President said that the United Nations Climate Conference, COP26, must be a pivotal moment in efforts to tackle climate change and that the world had a small window to solve the climate crisis. The UK will host the summit in Glasgow in November. Kerry also told the audience that the US was approaching the conference with both ambition and humility after a 4-year absence caused by former President Donald Trump's withdrawal, a decision that was reversed by his successor, Joe Biden.
Russia has unveiled a prototype of a new Sukhoi 5th generation fighter jet at its annual MAX air show. The warplane, given the project name Checkmate, is likely to be touted as a rival to the US F-35 stealth fighter. The warplane is expected to take to the skies in 2023, with the first batch due to be produced in 2026. Russia already has 4th generation fighter jets, the heavy class Sukhoi 27, the light class Mikoyan MiG-29. It has one heavy class 5th generation fighter jet, the Sukhoi 57, but no light class equivalent. Under President Vladimir Putin, it has invested heavily in military aircraft and new armaments, both for its own armed forces and also to boost export revenue from weapon sales. Many of its new weapons are still based on Soviet-era technology from the Cold War.
The southeast region of Bavaria in southern Germany is reeling under torrential rain battered the region over the weekend. Flood warnings were sent out on Saturday evening as heavy downpour caused rivers to overflow and also flood basements, roads and bridges to be closed and residents to search for higher ground. The region at the foothills of the Bavarian Alps was declared a disaster zone after rushing water and mudslides threatened several of the houses in the area. Earlier in the week, devastating downpour caused mass flooding in the western German states of North Rhine, Westphalia and Rhineland-Palatinate. Also, over 150 people died in the country's worst natural disaster in almost 6 decades. Damage was also caused in neighboring Belgium and the Netherlands. Work to clear flood damages was held on Tuesday in the Belgian city of Pepinster, where a dozen buildings have collapsed and rescue workers keep searching for any further victims. Earlier in the day, Belgium observed a minute of silence to mark a national day for mourning for the victims of the flooding, which killed at least 31 people in the country. The country's southeast was hit by floods that left more than 37,000 homes without electricity. Belgian authorities said the supply of clean drinking water was also a major concern.
Let's now take a look at the worldwide COVID figures as they stand as of now. As many as 19 crore 22 lakh people worldwide so far have tested positive for COVID-19. The number of recoveries stands at above 17 crore 49 lakh. The deadly virus has till now claimed lives of over 41 lakh 33,000 people globally. United States continues to remain the worst affected by the disease. As many as 3 crore 50 lakh people in the country have been infected by COVID-19 so far. The virus has claimed lives of more than 6 lakh 25,000 people in the US.
A fully vaccinated White House official tested positive for COVID-19 off-site and has mild symptoms, but was not found to have had close contacts with White House principals or staff. U.S. President Joe Biden on Monday, citing higher rates of COVID-19 in states with low vaccination rates, said during a speech that the nation's economic recovery hinged on getting better at controlling the pandemic. The average number of daily new COVID-19 cases in the U.S. has tripled in the past 30 days, climbing to 32,136 on Sunday.
COVID-19 off campus. In accordance with our rigorous COVID-19 protocols, the official remains off campus as they wait for a confirmatory PCR test. The White House Medical Unit has conducted contact tracing interviews and determined no close contacts among White House principals or staff or the president. The individual has mild symptoms. We know that there will be breakthrough cases, but as this instance shows, cases in vaccinated individuals are typically mild. The White House is prepared for breakthrough cases with regular testing. This is another reminder of the efficacy of the COVID-19 vaccines against severe illness or hospitalization.
At a U.S. Senate hearing on Tuesday, America's top infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, testified that the Delta variant now accounts for more than 80% of the new COVID cases in the United States. However, anyone who tuned into the hearing of U.S. Senate Health Committee would have been struck by the heated and extended exchange between Fauci and Republican Senator Rand Paul, who has often used these hearings to peddle the theory that the virus was fabricated inside Wuhan, China lab, and also that the U.S. government funded the research. The exchange was a glimpse into the cultural and political tensions within the U.S. over the origin of COVID-19 pandemic, the liberties lost by mask wearing, and the efficacy or inefficiency of the vaccines. Fauci bristled at Paul's suggestion that he may have been aware that Wuhan lab was engaged in the U.S.-funded gain-of-function research in which pathogens are manipulated to increase their ability to transmit among hosts, whether animal or humans.
A bus in Brazil is bringing vaccines to people in Minas Gerais state. The vaccination bus is a joint initiative of the Brazilian Red Cross, the Department of Health, and the government of Minas Gerais. The vehicle was donated by Mercedes-Benz. The mobile vaccination unit, that looks similar to buses used for public transportation, will distribute jabs throughout the state for a period of 45 days. There are 3 immunization cabins with vaccination bus, and its crew comprises 6 people who are aided by local teams.
French Health Minister Olivier Véran said a record number of 18,000 new infections have been reached over the previous 24 hours in France on Tuesday, as the country is experiencing a 4th COVID wave. The French government is set to institute new measures such as requiring a health pass in a wide array of venues from the start of August, and making vaccination mandatory for health workers will start account for some of the toughest in Europe. Starting on Wednesday, a health pass proving that a person has been vaccinated against the virus, has recently had a negative COVID test, or has newly recovered from the virus will be necessary to access leisure and cultural venues with an attendance of more than 50 people.
And let's get some news from Russia. The country on Tuesday reported over 23,700 new COVID cases, including over 3,100 in Moscow alone, pushing the total number of cases confirmed during the pandemic to more than 60 lakh. Russia ranks fourth in the global COVID-19 tally with over 60 lakh cases. The government also reported 784 coronavirus-related deaths, including over 100 in Moscow. Russia is facing a surge in cases that authorities have blamed on the Delta variant and the slow rate of vaccinations in the country.
Up next, we get to our segment Web News Review, and Abhishek is presenting it.
Very good morning, Shubhendu and Preeti. And the first story that we have taken in the Web News Review segment is from Hindustan Times, which says, the headline says, WHO warning on Delta variant infection rate as it spreads to over 100 countries. And the World Health Organization, they have issued a video, they have released a video which says that, which has warned on the transmissibility of the Delta variant of COVID, and it says that it spreads faster than all other variants of the virus. And they also said that the variant is now present in over 100 countries and will likely become the most dominant variant amongst all the variants of concern. So big video that has been issued by the World Health Organization. And moving on to our second story, which we have taken from Mint. The headline says, US eases travel restrictions on India amid dip in COVID cases. We know that the cases have been declining steadily in India. That's why US has taken this big step of easing the travel restrictions, and they have lowered the level. They have different levels. They have lowered the level 4 from level 4 to level 3, which means level 4 means no travel, and level 3 means among certain restrictions they are allowed to travel. The US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has issued a level 3 travel health notice, and the Department of State has issued a level 3 travel advisory advising against all travel to India. And level 3, I'll tell you, it encourages US citizens to reconsider travel to the country due to serious risk of safety and security. And various points, various SOPs that they have issued, and US citizens, they also say that US citizens who must travel to India are strongly urged to get vaccinated, fully vaccinated before travel, and continue to take personal health safety measures to protect themselves, including practicing social distancing or physical distancing, cleaning hands with sanitizer or soap, wearing face masks, and avoiding crowded areas with poor ventilation. Moving on to our next story, which we have taken from Indian Express, which says, Gurgaon private schools take reopening steps. And talking about the entire Haryana, and we'll take this from Gurgaon, which says that the Haryana government, we all know, they have taken this big step of reopening of schools from classes 9 to 12 from July 16th. The schools have already been reopened, but they have also taken the step to open the schools from 6th to 8th class, which will be done from July 23rd. And several private schools in Gurgaon are set to open their doors to students once again in the weeks ahead, and they have also issued the SOPs. They have started sending emails to the parents, which says that we recognize that family compulsions may not allow all our students to come to school to attend classes. The teachers will schedule meetings on Teams for those who wish to attend classes virtually while the teacher teaches in the class. This has been stated by the email which has been sent by the school to the parents of the students. Moving on to our next story, which is from sports. India, we all know, they are in England, captained by Virat Kohli, and they are playing a practice match against Durham. And big thing is that KL Rahul has scored a century on the first day of the practice match, and it's a big thing. He has presented a strong case to play in the first test match against England, which starts on August 4th. But again, we all know that Virat Kohli is not playing, Ajinkya Rahane is not playing in this practice match because of injuries. But again, good knock by KL Rahul. We all know Rishabh Pant is in isolation. Riddhiman Saha also is not part of this practice match. And KL Rahul, he is wicket keeping also, and he has scored 100 also. It's a big question whether he'll be part of the playing 11 in the first test match or not. That's a big question. Again, good thing is Ravindra Jadeja has also scored a 75 of 146 balls. But again, Rohit Sharma, who is the standing captain for this practice match, he has scored 9. Mayank Agarwal, who is likely to be the opener with Rohit Sharma in the first test match, he has scored 28. While Cheteshwar Pujara, he got out on 21, and Hanuma Vihari on 24. So it will be interesting to see whether KL Rahul, after his heroics in the practice match, whether he'll be included in the playing 11 for the first test match, which starts on August 4th against England or not. Well, that's all we have in Web News Review segment. Back to you, Shubhendu and Preeti.
All right, there. Thanks very much, Abhishek, for getting us those updates. Time now to get some more action from the world of sports in Sports Track. And tail-ender Deepak Chahar brought India back from the dead with a steely 69 of 82 balls and scripted the visiting team's series-sealing victory in the second ODI against Sri Lanka. This was on Tuesday. Chasing 276, India were down and out at 193 for 7 before Chahar and Bhuvaneshwar Kumar forced an unbeaten 84-run stand to seal a memorable win for the visitors, who extended their record of not losing an ODI on Sri Lankan soil since 2012. Chahar, whose highest score before this game was 12, showed remarkable resolve and composure under pressure to take his team over the line with 5 balls to spare. He fittingly hit the winning boundary. India wins, and against an unassailable 2-0 series lead, Deepak Chahar's heroics with the bat seal a 3-wicket victory. It was India's 9th consecutive bilateral series win over Sri Lanka. The third ODI will be played on Friday. It was expected to be another comfortable chase for India after Sri Lanka put an improved batting effort to post 275 for 9. However, questionable shot selection from the majority of Indian batsmen gave their struggling opponents some hope. Earlier batting first after winning the toss, Sri Lanka scored 275 for 9 in the allotted 50 overs. Charit Asalanka scored 65 for Sri Lanka, while Avishka Fernando scored 50.
It may be a while before India becomes a superpower in Olympic sports, but equipments manufactured by the country's companies will be visible all across the field events of Olympic Games at Tokyo's stadium. Also, sports equipment made in Meerut in the hands of world-renowned foreign athletes will shine in the Tokyo Olympic grounds. With sports equipments from Meerut, the renowned players will aim to defeat the opponents. Meerut made in fact discus, hammer, javelin, shot put, hurdles will be seen in the Olympic Games starting from 23rd of July. We get you a detailed report by our correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya.
Meerut city is leading a slow revolution in India's quest to become a sporting powerhouse. The Tokyo Olympic is not just expected to be a watershed moment for the Indian athletes, but at the same time for the sports goods manufacturer in the country. Out of the 6 vendors approved by the games governing body, 3 of them are in India, and that too in the city of Meerut. Equipment manufactured by the Indian companies will be visible all across during the field events of the Olympic Games at the Tokyo Stadium. Out of the 6 companies listed by the sports governing body to provide implements for shot put, discus and hammer throw events, 3 Anand Track and Field Equipment, Bhalla International and Nilco are based in Meerut and are changing the way sports manufacturing in the country is perceived.
My father Balraj Anand, he started this business in Lahore in late 30s, before I was born, I would say. He came down to Meerut in 1950 and started this business. It was an instant success, I would say, and he could establish himself within 2 years because of his quality and his enthusiasm for the job. In 1970, I got one small export order, and I was very much excited for that small order. Not only Indian athletes, but foreign athletes also compete with the Indian products. Once you supply the goods at international level, you feel proud of it. We are proud of that.
In 1962, the Nelco name was incorporated, and we started with making track and field equipment, and we've been exporting since 1966. You know, what we are waiting to see is to have an Indian on the podium, and right now I think we have a couple of very good prospects, especially Tejinder Singh Toor for shot put and Kamal Preet in this discus throw. We might get to see them on the podium. That's what we are looking at. That's what we are hoping as well. That's going to be a real proud moment. Getting your equipment there, and you know, it's a proud moment, but seeing an Indian there, winning with your implements, that is something that we've been looking for a long time. That would be, the moment for us.
Many of the competing athletes come with their own implements customized for themselves, like Neeraj Chopra would use a Nemeth or a Nordic brand javelin. But some athletes will use the implements kept at the racks of the competition site. 3 Indians who are competing in the Tokyo Olympics will use these homemade brands. These implements will be kept in a holding rack at the competition site for the participants to choose from.
India has come up to a very good level, I would say, as far as the sporting goods is concerned, and as far as the sportsmen is also concerned. Now you have almost sportsmen and sportswomen in every discipline. Earlier you used to hear only about hockey or cricket. Now you have shooters, athletes, weightlifters. So it is helping both. It's a two-way process. The sport grows and the sportsmen grow, and the sportsmen grows, the sports grows. It's a pride. It's a very big pride for us. That will be there, and the logo will be there, and the players will be using it. And fortunately, if some of the Indian athletes win with our equipment, so that will be much more than that.
We make a lot of track and field equipment, but throwing implements is a specialization. And we are sending our discus, shots and hammers for all categories, for men and women, and even for the Paralympic Games. There are quite a lot of different varieties in discus, hammers and shots as well. Discus for men and women is like for men it is 2 kgs, for women it is 1 kg. And then there are different technologies that we are sending there. These technologies are going to be used first time in the Olympics. These are patented, the patents are pending, but they are all trademarked and copyrighted. And these technologies it's like a distance measurement technology where we have tested it on wind tunnels, and we put a distance rating on the implements. So that so and so an implement can we fly to such and such distance if the potential is there in the thrower. Shot put also we have a new technology called Canomax, which is the shot is a perfectly homogeneous piece of equipment where you actually cut it into 4 pieces. The weight is going to be the same. So the thrower does not have to look for the sweet spot. It saves a lot of time and energy, especially during the practice.
For these companies, excellence in their product showcases India's growing stature as a global hub in sports manufacturing. It will be a cherry on top if an Indian athlete can make it to the podium using the Make in India implements in Tokyo Games. Tapash Bhattacharya's report, DD India, Meerut.
All right, a detailed report there of how we are already have sort of made a mark on the Olympic grounds with the equipments, but here's wishing luck to the Indian contingent and wishing them luck as well when we talk of their performance at the Tokyo Olympics.
Absolutely. Also, let's now get some weather updates from across the country. And as we close, just a gentle reminder that whether it's festivities or just another day at work or home, please continue to follow all COVID appropriate behavior like wearing a mask.
Yes, indeed. And also we leave you with some beautiful glimpses every day. And today we are leaving you with glimpses of the sculpture and art pieces in New York. Take a look. Have a good day ahead. Bye-bye.
Namaskar.